Hello everyone and welcome to a new edition of To The Point. Today we'll be talking about a very important topic. We'll be talking about scientific research and the future of scientific research here in Egypt, as well as the state's efforts in this regard, with our dear guest today, Dr. Salah Obayya, Professor and Director of Center for Photonics and Smart Materials, former President of Zuwil City, Honorary Chair of Photonics, Nottingham University, United Kingdom. Thank you very much, Doctor, for coming today.
Thank you.
Now, to start with, the Ministry of Higher Education and Scientific Research is considered one of the state institutions concerned with building the scientific and human character of a broad spectrum of young people across universities and higher institutes. How do you see the role of the ministry in this regard?
Thank you so much for hosting me in this very important show. To the point, actually, the scientific research is not or should not be restricted to the Ministry of Higher Education and Scientific Research. I see it as a much broader mission that should be carried out by every single person in the society and the community, right across from the layman in the street to teachers in the school, university professors, researchers in research centers, and everyone should be dealing with, in a way or another, with scientific research. Either as a producer of knowledge, like professors in university, or someone who is consuming or benefiting from
like
research in the form of new technological products and innovative solutions to some of our existing societies. Nevertheless, I would say that, and I have to witness, and I have to say that the arena of scientific research have witnessed dramatic and significant change, positive change over the last 7-8 years, and a number of dimensions we can explore in this direction, right across from building new smart universities, and we can talk later on about what is the definition, what is the concept of smart universities, which is sometimes called fourth generation university. This is one thing. Again, modernizing our labs and equipping our research lab centers and facilities with the latest and the most recent modern equipment in order to enable researchers like myself and my colleagues to be empowered with scientific research conducted in the best developed country in the West, US, Japan, UK, Europe, and so on and so forth. So from this dimension, actually, I can say that the state is playing its role to the extent that we cannot actually ask for more.
Yes.
What more can be asked is actually, as I started this conversation, is from the other institutions, other societies, civilian societies, other sectors of society. They should pay more attention, not just for, and I'm referring here to the general secondary certificate results that emerged yesterday. I think is not about getting certificates, rather it's about how much I learned, because knowledge is a weapon through which I can fight my fight in the future and shape my future and my society and so on.
Excellent, of course. Now, we are going to talk in details about other roles of the government, such as the budget, for example, the state budget allocated, and the role of the civil society and the role of the private sector in supporting the government in this regard, and bring or supporting young innovators and researchers. So I need to talk about that in details, but first let me ask you about the Academy of Scientific Research and Technology. It is the ASRT. It is the national umbrella, if we may say, the national umbrella for the planning of scientific research activities in Egypt, and it includes the National Committee of 20 international scientific unions and has 15 specialized councils for various branches of scientific activities. How do you see its role?
Well, I was lucky enough that I played my role within ASRT. For several years I was member of the council governing the operation and the strategic planning of ASRT, and a member of a number of councils and communities and societies related to ASRT. From this angle, actually, I can say that, well, again, over the last 7-8 years, we can just look at one number to tell us all about it. The budget allocated from the state to ASRT has increased from a couple of billions, I think, in 2014, 2015. Now we are talking about, I think, 22, 23 billion Egyptian pounds. Well, let us look deeply how this money is spent, because this is very important. If it is spent on salaries and so on and so forth, this is useless in my view. However, much of this money is directed, luckily, into some strategic research programs. I personally benefit from these funds in order to build my center at Zuid City. Other colleagues at other universities, either private university, national or public universities, all benefited from this budget allocated to ASRT. However, I would say that it's not only about the budget allocation, it's not about how much fund is allocated to research. Rather, what is really more important is the strategic planning behind this fund, how this planning is translated into a number of research programs that can tackle some of our societal challenges. We have four pillars. We have water, this is one challenge, health, environment, and energy. These are the four pillars that are facing Egypt.
And of course, pandemics come under the health sector.
Under the health. And believe it or not, these four pillars, although they look on the surface, they are different. But actually, interdisciplinarity can play a very important role in order to push this, to push the research in this area to the frontiers. Well, let me put it this way. I am working in photonics, for example, and photonics is a part of nanotechnology, by the way. But working in the photonics can allow me to find, through scientific research in photonics, some innovative solutions to problems facing, for example, water treatment. To some, for example, looking for new ways of generating renewable energy, cleaner energy using solar cells, and other application in other fields. So if we look at the new technologies as something which we can rely on finding innovative solutions to some of these existing problems, I think the mechanism of moving forward this is relying heavily on interdisciplinarity between disciplines.
Of course, and speaking of the ASRT, the councils suggest appropriate research projects to be conducted with the ASRT to solve, as you said, Doctor, some of the problems of these sectors and to meet the national development programs. And this is very important.
This is very important, but again, we are not only looking at the current problems. What is more important?
To be proactive.
Exactly, proactive and explore what's coming next. I mean,
predict what's coming next.
Exactly, what are the challenges that will face our youth in the next 10 and 20 years? Dr. Khalid Abdel Ghaffar, the Minister of Higher Education, was giving a very nice speech yesterday in one of the newspapers about the status of higher education and scientific research, and he marked that 85 billion of the current jobs will disappear in just in a matter of couple of years. How we can face this? This is not a problem, this is a crisis. This means that we have to reshape all our higher education programs to prepare our kids and youngsters in an innovative way. He and she has to learn how to deal with situations that he or she never came across before. This is a very important and cornerstone to reshaping all our educational programs and, of course, our research programs.
It is called future research, if I'm correct.
Research is about future.
It's about the future, but during the last decade, Doctor, there have been several distinct activities and efforts with regards to future research in Egypt. Several institutions and capacities have been created for that particular purpose. And in many countries, future research activities are developing new institutions and new approaches are being tested. How can we benefit from other countries' expertise?
This is very important. One of the very important programs that I have personal benefits from, and again, it's launched and still launched by ASRT, is something called JSUR. JSUR is like bridges. And Bridges is all about initiating collaboration, strong collaboration between Egyptian professors working in Egypt and Egyptian professors working abroad. So again, this happy marriage, we hope so, will come up with a very, very nice fruit in terms of not only publications and graduate students in the form of master and PhD students and so on and so forth. Rather, as I said, what is really the challenge that can come our way? I mean, it depends on the discipline we are working on and how we can explore using the experience of the expert professors working in UK or US and Japan and so on, and also what are the needs in Egypt and the happy marriage between these two branches, I mean between these two people and two professors and two research groups will definitely will come up with something. And I think we have done something really nice at the Center of Photonics and Smart Material in this aspect. We have very fruitful collaboration with Professor Salah. He is currently with University of Central Florida. He's leading a photonics group there. I am leading a photonics group here in Egypt. And so far we published a number of papers. This is not the most important part of the story. What is really more important is we have filed 2 patents in something really coming in another 10, 20 years. Called the quantum photonics. Quantum photonics is the future of 2 things, of photonics as a technology and computing in another dimension.
Of course, yes. In the beginning, we wanted to talk about modernizing labs and how important this is. So the Egyptian Ministry of Higher Education is now trying to enhance scientific research in Egypt through a new program called Science Up. And Science Up program is a project that will have a budget of 90 million Egyptian pounds and will seek to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of university research and development laboratories. The project will also be rolled out in several stages. The first stage will last 3 years and will focus on mathematics and physics. Okay?
Yes.
How do you see the importance of this project?
Science Hub again is a very, very nice initiative, and I think it's not only nationwide, it's international arena. People now in the West, in US, UK, Japan, and so on, they think that we have to come back again to the basic sciences. We have to encourage youngsters in order to be more and more engaged with mathematics. So it's about 2 things. One thing is how to bring youngsters, bright youngsters, young kids in schools and universities to love again mathematics and physics and remove a little bit of the dryness of these subjects and make it easy to swallow through different applications and mobile applications, fun applications, laptops, activities, yes, and so on and so forth. This is one thing. Another thing is how to pump up more and more funds into the research in basic sciences, because there is a strong belief across the scientific community that we cannot make technological breakthrough without really understanding deeply what is happening there in the nano and sub-nano sort of levels. Without understanding really the physics and mathematics here is the tool. We don't have any other tool in order to understand what is happening there. There is so much happening there and we are not yet capable to explore what is happening. So again, pumping up research fund into this. What is really more important in Science Up is capacity building. And I think this is something we have focused on through ASRT, STDF, and other organizations here in Egypt. Capacity building is 2 components. One is about modernizing labs, bringing up the most recent and advanced equipment in this or that particular field of research. But what is really more important in capacity building is to train the youngsters, engage more and more ladies in the scientific research in areas that they never explored before. So human part of the capacity building, I see it as the most important component of all of it.
Yes. And it also plays a part in another pillar of the program, which is incubators.
Yes.
And there have been incubators that have been established for talent, okay, if we may say, in science and mathematics, and the incubation programs will seek out promising students, okay, before they enter universities.
Exactly.
And give them financial support, okay, and mentoring once they become undergraduates. How do you see the importance of this issue, the importance of incubators?
Again, I see it, as I said before, it is a very important part of the capacity building, human capacity building. We have to select and choose the most promising and talented people at the age of 14, 15, who can really deliver something really nice in these branches of mathematics, biology, chemistry, and physics, and so on, and give them some what I call spatially advanced programs, because this can meet their capabilities, their mental, intellectual capabilities. And of course, when they engage into a university degree, they will excel much better than their peers. So again, these students, if they have been looked after early on in the educational journey, they'll deliver something really, really amazing. So I see it very important, because it's about capacity building of human.
Definitely. Yes. In addition, Dr. Salah, computing and big data plays a very important role. Big data processing centers will be built here in Cairo University. And, well, the Library of Alexandria also will be included, and the Academy of Scientific Research and Technology. The new program will also provide short-term scholarships to students so that students can spend 1 to 3 months in distinguished science institutions abroad. So this exchange or sending our special students abroad as part of this program, how do you see it?
This is very important, because computing is not seen now as a single discipline. Computing actually, as a branch of scientific research and technology, is penetrating all over the spectrum. So right across from computational biology. Now we are using new computational methods in order to understand how about the interaction between, for example, the virus and the human body. COVID-19, so much nice articles and scientific research have been done in this area. So again, this cross-disciplinarity between computing and software and so on and so forth, and other branches of research will benefit quite a lot the humanity in general. So I'm so happy that the ministry and the SRT are paying special attention to computing, because it's not seen as 10 and 20 years ago as a separate discipline. Rather, it's engaged in a very active way across in engineering, biology, medicine, agriculture, and so on and so forth.
Yes. Well, talking of this, other colleges of applied science, we're talking about applied science, such as agriculture, as you said, Doctor, medicine and engineering, have funding from sources other than the government. Let's talk about the problems here.
Yeah.
And they can market products, okay, provide services, or work with the industrial sector. How can we solve this problem?
Well, this is, let me put it this way. This is a big dilemma.
Okay.
And
it's a challenge.
It's a challenge, and it have to be carefully designed. I'm talking here about a strategy that can serve all parties. If we ask the researcher to pay more and more attention of offering, well, the most precious thing that any researcher has is the quality time, where he can focus with his students, with his experiments, labs, research, and so on. Other entities and other parties, they should explore from the findings and new discoveries we find in the labs, and try to commercialize it. But if we ask the researcher to do it all, I'm afraid he will not be able, he will not be successful in delivering anything. So if we ask him just to, well, you can now engage with the industry and offer some training services and so on, well, he will deliver. But this will be at the expense of providing and conducting high quality and cutting edge research in his field. So again, that's why I describe it as a dilemma, and it has to be carefully designed.
Approached.
Well, when I was working in the UK, and I'm still engaged, as you introduced me in the introduction, with the University of Nottingham, which was one of the, they call it top tier of research universities in the United Kingdom. They have a very nice model. There is certain departments which they call it research and commercialization office. They have regular meetings with people like myself, professors and researchers, to discuss one thing. What new discoveries that you can see or you think it might have some commercial impact on the society, and let us talk with the companies, let us talk with industries to see how we can build these bridges between what you are already doing and what is the industry needs, not only now but in the future. So by building up these departments, and again I have to focus here that these departments should be built by people who have been carefully trained to understand two things. What is the nature of scientific research? What is new knowledge? How precious is the new knowledge and new discoveries? And he has a second eye open on what are the needs of the society, what are the needs of the industry, not only in the local society in UK or Egypt or whatever, but globally, because we are now living in a very small village. So I think putting up system like that strategically will benefit the researcher by giving him the quality time to focus on his research, and industry in order to benefit from the research outputs in a very meaningful way. But if we ask both of them just to interact like that, I'm afraid never ever will achieve anything. It is.
It's a loop. Okay. Now, most institutions and donors in Egypt do not support theoretical sciences and such as mathematics and physics because they do not provide direct services. What is the solution to that?
This is the state role. And I don't want to specifically mention some states that actually they force the taxpayers, either it's an industry or different societies, they take, I think it varies, 0.5 to 1%, 1.5% of the profit going to things like Science Hub, going to how we can modernize the educational programs focusing on STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, physics, mathematics, chemistry. As I said, if in order to design a program that looks funny and nice to students at the age of 9, 10, and 11, in order to be engaged in a very active and positive way with mathematics, physics, and this consumes quite a lot of money. And we have to put a lot of money into this. And I'm afraid the state, any state, not only Egypt, but any country will not be able to afford all of this money from the state budget. But the civil society has to play its role, but the state here has to
the private
impose.
Sector as well.
Of course, the private sector is a part of the civil society.
Yes.
A certain amount of, or certain percentage of the profit should be devoted in order to pump it up to modernize the research and modernize the educational programs targeting primarily at physics, mathematics, chemistry, biology, what you call it basic sciences.
Yes, definitely. How do you see the importance of ensuring the freedom of movement for researchers? This is an issue. Supporting their travel opportunities and bringing in visiting professors from foreign countries or from foreign universities, research centers, and major companies to teach modern courses and train here in our university.
Luckily enough, because of the position of Egypt as a country in North Africa, it's an Arab country, it's right in the middle of the Middle East, it has a very privileged position to be in the southern part of the Mediterranean Sea. We have actually a very good access to a program called H 2020, Horizon 2020. It's a European program, and it's mainly about staff exchange between Europe and countries like Egypt, Morocco, Tunisia, Libya, Algeria, and so on and so forth. So actually, it's all about exploring and seizing the opportunities. This is one thing. Engaged with the right consortium from different European institutions in a particular field, but yet again, we have all to consider one of the big challenge, one of the four challenges I mentioned in the beginning: health, energy, water, and environment. So this is the name of the game. We have to engage with some European institutions, look at the opportunities of funding coming from the H 2020 program, and targeting some of these, targeting or using our technology in order to target one of these challenges: energy, water, health, and environment. This is all. But so as a state, we don't have to spend so much money into this, because actually money is coming towards us. This is not because Europe is open up their charity boxes for us in order to explore or exploit their resources. Rather, it's very important because actually they are suffering from illegal immigration. So actually, by providing good research and training programs to citizens of these societies in Africa and Arab states, they will give them a better opportunity in order to shape their future in their own countries. And actually, this is a benefit to us, because by educating our kids and by educating our youngsters at a very good level and offering them very good opportunity to conduct their research here in Egypt or other Arab states or African states, we'll see the future much more brighter here rather than traveling abroad.
Yes. Institutions of higher education spend the most on research, and we mentioned that we'll talk about the spending and the budget on research and development. It's called R&D, reaching roughly 21.9 billion, Doctor, as we mentioned roughly in the beginning, 21.9 billion Egyptian pounds, which was a share of over 68%. Moreover, the government followed with an expenditure of 9.01 billion Egyptian pounds on R&D. Do you think more needs to be done? Do you think such allocation is enough, or we need more?
Such allocation is not enough. Such allocation is very generous from the state budget. What is really enough, what is really needed is, as I said previously, we need to impose some sort of taxes on private sector and other civil societies in order to take share of their profits and pump it into educational and research programs in universities, in schools, and so on. Everyone in the society should feel in a way or another that he is playing a role and very contributing to, of course, it's a societal issue. It's not just about the governmental budget or state budget that we have to all wait for how much of increase we can get from the state budget. This is not, and this is actually the state of research in first world countries.
Yes. Final question to you, Doctor. How can we encourage youngsters younger than the age of 14 and 15 that we talked about? I mean, I'm talking about kids at primary schools, to actually love science and experimenting and enjoy this.
This is very important. Let me explore.
To raise a generation.
Exactly. Let me explore. When I was working in the UK, we used actually to pay regular visits to the schools in the catchment area of the universities where I was working. This is very important. And what we try to do is to excite them. Once you excite the kid about the idea of scientific research, new discoveries, new innovations, and so on, he or she will love one day to be engaged in this. And once you show to him or her that the way to do this is to excel in physics, mathematics, chemistry, and biology, he or she will do it. And our Egyptian kids are more than capable to do.
Do you think that introducing games and activities as part of the
curriculum? Can help. It can help, but without a role model, a university professor who can devote some of his time and efforts to excite the students, other tools will not be enough.
Don't you think that this requires the training of the trainers, the training of the teachers themselves?
Well, you are quite right. Some people by nature, they are talented and they can do it just like that, and other might have the potential, but if we offer them short-term courses, how we can tune and how we can shape the minds of those youngsters less than or younger than 14 and 15, as you mentioned.
We're talking about primary school, from 6 to 13. Through games, through activities, through...
This is a tool, but the role model should be there. The human factor should be there. A university professor, a talented teacher who can actually inspire the students and get them excited about loving science, this is the main vehicle to do it.
What about the role of the family in this regard? The mothers in particular? You know this, why I'm asking this, because so many mothers, when they find their children disassembling or breaking up things in order to discover what it's made of, what's inside, the natural curiosity inside any children, they go aggressive against the kids. Why do you crushed, you destroyed it, but I'm talking here about raising the awareness of the families and mothers on how to encourage kids to be innovative without destroying anything.
Life now is very expensive, of course.
Yes.
We don't want kids to destroy things around. You are quite right, and this is a very important role. We have to make some sort of, or families should enjoy some minimum level of awareness about the importance of getting the youngsters the freedom to do things without destroying too many things, as you said. But again, I insist that role model, teacher in the school, university professors, they should devote much more of their time and efforts in order to get them excited and inspired. This is the way to do it. And actually, this is how we recruited the students to join our universities when I was in UK. I used to visit schools, children at age 12, 13, and so on, and we tell them about photonics, about nanotechnology, how it is important for the future. Look, in 10, 15 years, if you didn't excel, just learn. If you didn't excel in this or that particular field, you will not find a job. And we tell them about our scientific research, our new discoveries, how it can shape the world around us. Well, let us also mention something really important. We don't expect, and we shouldn't expect, that every single person in society to be an innovator.
No.
Actually, if just 1% of the society, this is much more. This is more than enough, not only to Egypt but to the whole of humankind.
Of course, but I'm talking here about utilizing the natural curiosity that kids at this particular age have. At the age of 5 and 6
of course,
and 7, they are curious about the world. They are curious how the world was created. They are curious what's out there in the space.
But this is not only for the families. They're just and it is the role of the school as well.
It is the role of the school, exactly. So utilizing on this.
So it's not schools. It's not just about lessons and experiments and giving them their homeworks and so on. But actually, it's about how the teacher can monitor the students. This student is talented in mathematics and physics and so on. Someone else is talented in another aspects, other factors, like of course, singing, arts, drawing.
Well, I enjoyed talking to you very much. I'd like to thank you very much, Dr. Salah Obayya. Thank you very much for being with us today in this edition of To The Point.
Thank you.
And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us in this edition of the program. I'm Hala Al-Hamalawi signing off for now.